What is up, y'all? Welcome back. I appreciate you being here. As always, let's talk about some books. So August is Women in Translation Month, which means we take the time to notice and appreciate those authors who are women writing in their own first language and the incredible contributions that they can make to the literary world. It's honestly amazing that we can even have access to these works. For that, I think we really need to thank all of the independent and often very small publishers and presses from all over the United States and the world itself. Places like Open Letter, New Directions, Sandorf Passage, Coffee House Press, Deep Vellum. There are way too many for me to list, but I will put some links to those and more in the description, so I highly recommend that you check out all of them. At the moment, actually, I'm not reading anything that's translated, which is pretty unusual. I usually have something out of my rotation that is translated, but right now it's just Thomas Pynchon, William Gaddis, and then a nonfiction arc that I actually got a couple weeks ago. With that said, it's time to jump back into something translated. I've been very excited, looking forward to this video. Hope you guys enjoy it. So what I thought I'd do is go through my shelves, pick out 10 or so books that are potential candidates for books that I can read for Women in Translation Month, kind of briefly discuss them, and then go through and finalize my picks and show everybody what I'm going to read for this month. Feel free, of course, to skip ahead to any that you are excited for. I will list them in the comments. Otherwise, stick around for some incredible picks that, if I don't get to them this month, are ones that I know are going to be amazing reads later on in the future. So I picked 15 books from my shelf, and so I'm going to have to be pretty quick with going through these. But to preface right here, I received all these books either from publishers who sent them to me, I bought on a recommendation from somebody else, and I trust that person's recommendation, or they just intrigued me and I picked it up on a whim. This first book I know is quite popular in terms of translated literature, and I've seen multiple people talk about it. It is The Employees by Olga Ravn, and this is translated by Martin Aitken. This is put out by New Directions. Pretty much it's told as a series of statements of these people on a interstellar ship, and they end up getting objects. They get attached to objects from this planet that they visit. It's supposed to be funny while also being quite chilling at times, and really focusing on what makes us human and how we can exist in our life that is now governed by productivity. This one is also quite short, so if I just kind of show, like, some of these statements are just little paragraphs and some are a little bit longer, but this one would probably be able to be read in a day if I just sit down and go for it. This next one, I've heard nothing bad about it. I have wanted to read this for months now that I've heard of this book, but it's MALINA by Ingeborg Bachmann. This is translated by Philip Boehm and put out again by New Directions. This one is about a writer who is unnamed living in Vienna, and she is torn between two men, and it's kind of her story of madness in that kind of mental scenario that she's torn between. It says it explores love, death styles, and then the roots of fascism and passion. So I've again never heard anything bad about this book. It is a little bit longer, but there are plenty of page breaks throughout, so it does not seem like it would be that long of a read, but we'll see. This next one is one of the best covers that I've got on my shelf, I think. It is put out by the Dorothy Project, and it's Overstaying by Ariane Koch, and this is translated by Damien Searles. This is supposed to be a funny, absurd story about a woman who ends up getting a visitor coming to her, and it's unclear what exactly this visitor is. If it's a pet, if it's an alien, if it's some other sort of being, but supposed to be funny from what the description says. And a couple of blurbs all mention that it's supposed to be pretty wild as well. So I've wanted to read this for a while also, so this one is definitely a strong contender for me for August. This next book is called The Place of Shells by Mai Ishizawa, and this is translated by Polly Barton. This is the last one here that is published by New Directions, and this is supposed to be about a young Japanese academic living in Germany, and her friend turns up who has supposedly been dead for like 9 years due to an earthquake. When he gets there, he starts to kind of shift things around him. His presence starts to throw off both the narrator and the environment around them. It kind of spirals, similar to the shell on the cover. And so very interested in this one. This is a recommendation from one of my friends from Instagram, Buddy. His name is @Thanatoid_reads, if you want to check him out. There are also 2 blurbs from other well-known Japanese novelists who I also have books from on my shelf, and one of them I believe I included in this stack of books. So definitely excited for this one, and it's also not super long. It's only less than 150 pages, so this is not one that would be too long to read. This next book is also published by New Directions. It would not be a Women in Translation video without Clarice Lispector. This is translated by Stefan Tobler. Clarice Lispector is a brilliant author. I've read Near to the Wild Heart. That is the only thing of hers that I've read, but it was fantastic. I did review it on Instagram if you're interested in what I have to say about it. This book is supposed to be a meditation on the nature of life and time, and that is pretty much all that the back summary says about it. Lispector's writing is hypnotic, it's ethereal, and it makes you think deeply about the nature of being itself. This one was published towards the end of her life, and I think this is where most people start, probably because it's so short, but I did read Near to the Wild Heart first because that was her first novel that she published. But I loved it, so I would expect that I would like this as well. Next up is a novel published by Open Letter. This is Winter in SOKCHO by Elisa, Shua, Dusapin, translated by Anissa Abbas Higgins. And again, pretty short. The spacing's pretty good on these pages. But this is supposed to be a story about a young woman who meets a graphic novelist, and they go in search of the authentic Korea, and kind of deals with how we are seen by other people. Things like sharing identities, dividing ourselves, alienation, vision, blindness, things that are unseen but eternally important in our lives every single day. This is also a debut novel, which is a little bit more intriguing to me because it's very interesting to see, especially a National Book Award winner, be a number 1 translated work, number 2 an author's first work. So that makes this a pretty compelling option to me. All right, next up we have a novel that was published by Europa Editions, and this is Elena Ferrante's The Story of the Lost Child. This is book 4 of the Neapolitan Quartet, which is her series of 4 novels about the friendship between 2 Italian women, starting as when they're girls and showing them growing up to be women. And this is the last book in the series that I have to read. I'm definitely anxious to finish this. I've heard that it's a incredible ending, and one that I will not be able to stop thinking about. It means that I will be done with this story and these characters, and you can only read this for the first time once. But with that said, it is one that I definitely want to get to because of how brilliant this story is with pulling you in and making you feel like you are there with them. This is set in Italy and details the way that these girls grow up into teenagers and then young women. And then when they're finally adults and they have children, shifting loyalties and infidelities, problems and issues that they face throughout their lives, including political problems, pretty much anything in between. I did like the second book so far the best. I've heard the second and this one, book number 4, are the best out of the series. Number 1, My Brilliant Friend, is really good. The third one I did not care for that much, Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay. It was not my favorite for sure. I do also want to get back into this series because I think that this is going to change my mind about that one. So almost a guarantee that I'm going to get to. It's a little bit longer, but the story just flows so well. And these are so easy to read once you get a hang of the characters, which there are kind of like a recap in each book that tells you what happened in the book before so you don't forget. Like I said, this is published by Europa Editions, and this is translated by Anne Goldstein, who I believe translated the other 3 volumes as well, which would make sense that she translates the whole thing. So I'm very excited for this one. This next one is published by Coffee House Press, and it is called NEFANDO by Mónica Ojeda. This is translated by Sarah Booker. I've heard very good things about this, that it is one of the most disturbing things that people have read from people that I very much trust. It's about these 6 people who are sharing an apartment. They are all connected to this video game. It's a cult video game called NEFANDO. In this video game, they have a way to get rid of their pain, their trauma, their shame. And it finds them with a very loose sense of morality. This is one that I am very much leaning towards reading just because of what I've heard about it and its reputation that it has for me, at least in the corner of the internet that I look for books on. All right, next up, I've got the 2 books that I actually mentioned in my book haul video that I opened from Sandorf Passage. These are She Who Remains and Bedbugs. I'm not gonna go through what these are about again. I'm just gonna show these are definitely potential options for me. And I know I said I wanted to read something from Sandorf Passage very soon. So to me, this seems like the perfect opportunity. So I know I'm definitely going to go with one of these because they're both by women and they're both translated. So we'll see which one I go with. Next up is one from Archipelago Books. This is Love by Hanne Ørstavik. This is translated by Martin Aitken as well. Similar to one of the first ones. I believe it was The Employees is also translated by him. This is a very short novel about love, really. This centers on a mother and her son who have just moved to a town in Norway. It is about the love of this mother and her son in the wake of her own problems, how love can manifest itself in a multitude of ways. Next up is a book by Riverhead Books. This is Fever Dream by Samanta Schweblin. This is translated by Megan McDowell. This is supposed to be surreal, like a fever dream, but something that is a ghost story for the real world, where you have a bunch of people who are seemingly related but somehow not, all tell a story of family and connection and desperation in the midst of trauma. This next book is published by Picador. This is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, and this is translated by Stephen Snyder. I've had this book on my shelf for a while and just haven't gotten to it. This is about a housekeeper and a professor. This professor who used to be a mathematics professor and has all these equations kind of trapped in his mind. The housekeeper is hired to take care of him, and about their relationship and their connection that forms between them and how we can form those connections in unlikely places that we wouldn't think otherwise. But the cover also is just beautiful, so I've heard good things about this, so I'm definitely looking forward to it at some point. All right, I've got 2 more books for you. This first one is Plasmas by Celine Minard. This is translated by Annabelle L. Kim. And this is stories, so not a novel, but short stories, and it's quite short. The page size is pretty small. The book is not a large book at all. Postmodern, kind of right up the alley that I'm interested in. And this is most likely going to be one of my picks because I do love short stories, so we'll see if I end up going through and picking it out for sure. but I picked this up a while ago and now I have an excuse to get to it. That last one was published by Deep Vellum, as well as the next one, which is Out of the Cage by Fernanda Garcia Lau. And this is an absurd book supposed to be about a woman who dies in an accident and then is left in this limbo where she sees her family's reaction and the remnants of her life that she's left behind. This is also translated by Will Vanderheiden, who is a well-known Spanish translator. Okay, those are by no means all of the books that I have on my shelves that are translated and written by women. I did just pick a few that are shorter so that I have time to get to more than just one or two by the end of this month. So I'm gonna go look through those real quick. I'm gonna pick 4 books that I can commit to reading, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've got my picks. I picked 5 books, actually, so I lied. I'm not going to just read 4. I'm going to commit to reading 5 of these. 4 of them are fairly short. One is a little bit longer, so we'll see where that fits in. If I can push it to September, that's okay, too. So I picked Fever Dream by Samanta Schweblin, Plasmas by Celine Menard, Bedbugs by Martina Vidaić, NEFANDO by Mónica Ojeda, and Story of the Lost Child by Elena Ferrante. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read any of those books, please comment down below if you recommend any of them, if you liked them, didn't like them, if you have any other recommendations for Women in Translation Month, please make sure to let me know. I appreciate every single comment. I do my best to respond when I can. If you liked the video, please make sure to like it, subscribe for more content from me, and I will see you all in the next one.